Hi, this is Jana Antoni from Empower Your Mind, the life from ordinary to extraordinary, and welcome to the Spanglish Word Network on Zingo TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores in iOS and Android devices. And while you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs from 2016 forward. So today, I have the honor and pleasure to welcome here my dear friend and colleague, Christina Wascher, an accomplished entrepreneur, a real estate developer, and a philanthropist. She's always been driven by her passion for making a positive impact in the world, and especially for children in need. And that's what we were talking about today. She founded the All Into Win Foundation, which is dedicated to helping children and families affected by childhood cancer in providing support and resources to help them navigate through the difficult journey. And she's also, as me, an elite neurocoding specialist, and I'm very honored to welcome you here. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Well, thank you, Jana. It's really a pleasure, and it's really an honor to be invited to join you on this show today. So thank you so much. And also, it's also wonderful to see you as part of the Neurocoding Institute and what we can do to help people and help people go further, faster, and transform lives. And I know that you're doing that too. So
thank you. So I already said we will be talking today about the children in difficulties and your foundation. But before we go to that, I would like you to tell the audience first something about your background. How did you find a way to helping these families and supporting the children and especially parents? So tell us about it.
I've always had, let's say, a passion for helping children in need. And it started with when my own daughter got diagnosed with very severe dyslexia. I then became certified so that I could teach and help children with all different types of learning difficulties and dyslexia. While we were living in Belgium, a very dear friend of mine, her daughter got diagnosed with a form of childhood cancer. Her daughter had always played with my children, and my children always played at her house too. And very sadly, her daughter was only able to survive 9 months. That was the first time I knew anything about childhood cancer and what it meant. And I couldn't believe there was a disease out there that we really did not have many effective treatments for. 1 in 5 children who develop childhood cancer sadly die from this disease. It touched my heart so much that I knew that I wanted to make a difference. So I've always been involved as an entrepreneur and mostly real estate development. When I did an exceptionally beautiful business deal, I used some of the money from that to invite a family to go on a cruise with me. Richard, the little boy, was only 9 years old, and he was a twin. I absolutely fell in love with the family. Richard sadly had a terminal brain tumor called DIPG. I learned that the survival was only about 11 months. No survivors, no treatments. It's in the pons, it's in the brainstem, so you cannot access it to do any type of surgery. Chemotherapy just doesn't work. So I made Richard a silent promise that I would do anything that I could to make a difference in the world of DIPG. And if I make a promise, I don't break a promise. And when we got back from the cruise, which happened to be close to Orlando, I invited the family to go to Disney. And we ended up being there at Disney with 3 other families who all had children fighting childhood cancer. And these children, they love to live. They love to smile. They want to ride the rides. They want to ride It's a Small World 5 times, one time after the other. These children are such brave fighters, and they touch your heart. They touch your heart. And when you hear about the treatments they go through, and then you hear from the parents the difficulty times they have. It costs a lot of money because suddenly a parent is not able to work. There's usually only now one income for the whole family. They travel from one state to another to find the best treatments they can. And often a lot of the treatments are not covered by the insurance that they have. So I decided that I couldn't afford to help all these children and families by myself. I started my own foundation so that we can raise money so that we are able to continue to put smiles on the faces of these children and help these families with whatever they need.
Yeah, and I see you even don't need me here to interview you because you are already telling everything. Just first comment from Cindy. I will just read quickly this comment. Thank you, Christina, for sharing your story and your why. You are such an incredible blessing to our world and to these children and their families. Thank you for all of your work that you do. Thank you, Jana, for bringing Christina on the show. Thank you, Sydney. Yeah, I remember telling this story, and it is really, really heart catching. And when we go back, just you already told some of the difficulties, and we will be talking about the parents. But first, I want to talk about the children. And maybe before to go to this this heart disease and talking about that, why just start lightly? You said that you were working also with children with dyslexia and other difficulties, and I would like to know if you could tell our audiences, what do children in difficulties, healthy issues also face nowadays? How is it for them? The daily life, school life, life at home, do they even have normal school life? Yeah, what are the difficulties they are facing?
For the children with cancer, they do not have a normal life. Many of them are unable to go to school. They spend weeks, sometimes months, being inpatient in hospitals. Even if they're not in hospital, they have such a very weak immune system from the chemotherapy. They have problems to walk. The chemotherapy seems to take away all their muscle mass. So often they are now in a wheelchair. Many children, sadly, of course, lose their hair and they do get bullied at school. They have auditory problems from the treatments.
Okay.
Sometimes there is some homeschooling available, but usually they're feeling so sick from the treatments, the last thing that they feel like doing is really any schoolwork. Sometimes in the hospital there are teachers that come in on a voluntary basis and will help the children with some schoolwork. But for most children, it's a real problem. It's also a problem if they then survive the childhood cancer and grow into adolescents, teenagers, young adults, because they haven't been able to finish their high school work.
Yeah.
Therefore, they don't have the qualifications they need to be able to go into college. Also, of course, there's a financial problem with families having to pay for the medical treatments and not having then college funds for the children.
Yeah, it's like a snowball. Once it started, then it's like all the other years that will follow. It's like never-ending path. So, what do you think, in your opinion and experience, what would help the children in the hospital? Like you talked about this homeschooling. Are there any other options or ideas? And when you brought it up, when they are cured or out of the hospital and they can attend the school. You were talking about bullying. There's so many, now I'm overwhelming with so many subjects. We could talk about so many subjects, and maybe I will invite you again to cover all this stuff, because it's very important and very interesting to talking about, because lots of people don't have the knowledge, and maybe there is really, everybody could just help with even a little small thing. So
yes, well, I think what could be great is almost to have a separate online school set up, so these children would be able to do some online classes similar to what we do at the Neurocoding Institute, right? That they could be video classes that the children can watch and do when they're feeling up to it, when they feel that that's what they would like to do. And also to have some live classes that they can get in, because one of the problems while they're inpatient is there's a loss of their social life. So maybe if there were some like online classes that were live, they would be able to have a social life.
And we have also the experience with the live classes, right? During the COVID, it was only that. So everybody now is equipped and have a lot of experience in that. And when you talk about live classes, like you mean, I remember when I was about 6 years old, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And we had classes in the hospital. They just put us together with, we were, I don't know, about 7 children together, and we had just school. Do you mean something like that? Like create small classes in hospitals?
No, I was thinking more to do online.
Online, yeah, because they are facing the problem with the immune system, right? And they can't often meet another person.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, that would be really good, because they would have a social activity of interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And nowadays with like ebooks and things, it would be easy to download workbooks and make it interactive and make it really interesting. Make it also so that it would be slightly easier for the children to be able to pass the exams. To have a little bit more one-on-one connection with the teacher and support and tutoring, so they wouldn't feel that they are so lost and so far behind. And
tutoring or mentoring?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Tutoring and mentoring.
Yeah, and maybe you can do like some tutoring or mentoring from the teacher one-on-one, and they can also establish some kind of tutoring with other children in the class. They are advanced, and they could connect, other children. We know it from I'm a teacher, so I know when you learn the most when you can explain it to another person. So it would be beneficial for both sides.
Exactly. Right? And there's been research to show that children or even adults who are going through the journey with cancer, they really benefit from having a community.
Right. Yes.
From interaction with other people.
Yes, that's an amazing idea. Yes. Right. That's and Cindy said that well. It's an amazing idea. And connect with other children that are experiencing similar things, and that could bring them joy. Yes, and this really this feeling, I'm not alone in this.
Exactly, absolutely, so true. Yes, and you could also bring in some of the parents to participate in it, because one of the things is often the parent feels very alone. A mom is usually, obviously 24/7 in the hospital, and usually doesn't see the family as much as what she would do if she was at home, or her work colleagues. And so for the parent who's impatient with the child, it's very, very lonely. It's very scary. there's often no one to really talk to.
Yeah.
And they don't have very much, let's say, emotional and psychological support with what they themselves are going through. So having some sort of online forum with the parents of the children doing the schooling would be hugely beneficial as well.
That's an amazing idea. Yeah, so everybody who is watching us, who is in the education system, maybe something to bring to the principals, to the directors, and start working on some kind of project. That's a very good idea. And you are talking about parents, and we will be talking about even more in a while. But first, I would like to ask about other member of the family that is often forgotten in all this stuff. When a child is suffering from cancer, they all the support or the focus from the public is the eye is on the child and on the parents, and who often gets forgotten are the siblings of that child, the brothers and sisters. And I can only imagine that they are suffering as well, and they are suffering alone, actually, right?
Yes, that's absolutely true. So one of the reasons why the siblings absolutely touched my heart was my father lost his sister. My father was 11 years old, and his sister was a little bit older than he was. And he grew up all the time having almost a guilty feeling that he had survived and his sister was taken. So I grew up understanding what it was like as a sibling. So we make sure that we, with All In to Win Foundation, we acknowledge the siblings. If the parents come to us and say, you know, the siblings having a birthday party, we can't afford it, but we would like to make it something special, we go into full action, whether it's they want princesses, a bouncing castle, birthday cake, balloons. We always make sure that the sibling is not forgotten. And we have an incredible program at Christmas called Christmas Magic, and it's one that I'm extremely proud of. I think this year we had maybe 35 families who wouldn't have been able to celebrate Christmas without our help. And I have to say, Jana, some of the friends that we know in our Neurocoding Institute stepped up, stepped forward, became sponsors, talked to their friends, talked to their work colleagues. And what we do is we get a wish list from the family of what each person would like for Christmas, including the mother, the father, or the children, not just the child who is sick.
Yeah.
And then we find a sponsor, and the sponsor picks a family of their choice, and then they order at least one gift for each person who's on the wish list. And many of our sponsors are so generous that often they actually pretty much purchase everything that's on the wish list. And even sometimes Christmas dinner gets delivered.
It's beautiful. It's really amazing. And I would like to tap into even deeper. That's all. It's amazing and beautiful. And it's like one occasion. And we spoke right now just before how to support the children and the parents over this period. Maybe there is also some kind of support during the long-term period for the siblings as well. Maybe this kind of support group would be as well an option, like a play group or more time, family time. You know, that the sibling is more in it, more involved, more feeling more seen and part of all this.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, COVID changed a lot of things for what we were able to do as a foundation. But before that, a couple of times a year, we would hold a family fun day, usually in Orlando at a really nice hotel where there was lakes, swimming pools, lots of activities. And we would invite the whole family. And so siblings would be especially well taken care of, made to feel welcome, and have a day. And the families would always tell me, this feels like a mini vacation. And to meet other families that they know and just have a day where children can be children.
Right. Yeah. I love the name, Family Fun Day. I love the name. Yes, yes. And I think and this is just an idea that came up instantaneously. That as the children or as the parents, they need someone they could talk to when they need. Maybe also the siblings. It would be nice if there would be some kind of service that they can call anytime they feel this urge, this need to talk to someone who would just hear them out. And I can imagine, and again I go back to my childhood, that sometimes it's difficult to talk about the emotions to the parents. And to friends, they don't go through the same thing and they wouldn't probably understand. And sometimes it's hard to find someone to talk to when you are in this situation.
Yes, absolutely. The problem becomes even more intense when the child with cancer gains their angel wings and the sibling is left without often their best friend, the person that they can go to. The parents, you can imagine, are also absolutely devastated, and takes a while for them to readjust to this new way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Often the sibling gets almost forgotten that the sibling is actually going through a bereavement, that the sibling is also going through mourning at that time. Mm-hmm. There's very little support for grief counseling or grief support for the siblings too. So that would be an area where some more help would be really, really beneficial. And that's one of the reasons that I started doing the training with Tony Robbins and Dr. Joseph McClendon, so that I am able to help a little bit more with maybe like the mindset, the psychological side, just for the siblings and also the parents to have someone to talk to, because often the grief counseling is helpful, but it's not geared towards child bereavement. And often the parent feels it's helpful, but they feel their grief is maybe more intense than somebody who's lost a parent.
Right. That's another thing, right? I remember I had a little girl in my class. She was 9 years old, and she lost his father to cancer. And it was a very, very, very hard period for her as well. So any coaches and therapists who may be watching us, please, if you feel that could be something that something for you, just go for it. There's a big need for that. And I will ask you, and this is a smooth transition to talk about the foundation you created. Are you offering in your foundation? And we will be talking about all the other stuff that you are doing in your foundation. But first, we start there where we are now. Are you offering also this kind of help, this person that parents or siblings could call and have a session or just somebody to talk to?
Yes, absolutely. We have a wonderful person called Dr. Will Bangston, who is very highly trained. He went to Harvard Medical School, and he works in the school system as a school counselor, working with teenagers and children with all different difficulties, behavioral issues, anything. And he runs a whole program here, and he's just a wonderful, kind-hearted person. And he donates his services to us. So if we have a family who's either bereaved or they're going through the difficulty of while their child is going through treatments or their child is on hospice, he's absolutely willing, and he talks to these families. So we do have that support. unfortunately, what we are finding is we are getting more and more families who need this type of support, and just one person is not able to give them the support they need. So I'm in the process of setting up a group of people and some courses and some online sessions so that we're able to help more and more people. One of the things that's very sad is we do hear of suicide, and it's very often a parent takes their own life on the anniversary of when they lost their child. For us as a foundation, a parent can reach us 24/7. There's myself and another lady, Debbie, who lives in San Diego, and they can call us 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, anytime if they are feeling they just need a shoulder to cry on, they just need to rant, they just need somebody that they can talk to. They can call, they can reach out, and we will answer the phone. And we will.
I'm signing up as a volunteer if you need me.
Okay, thank you.
So it's beautiful, and it's sad to hear that that parents are tempted to commit a suicide. So let's talk about parents now.
Mm-hmm.
What they are facing. There are many. I know we will be talking about all the domain they are facing. They are not only the fear of losing their child. There are also organizational stuff, psychological stuff, financial stuff, but they are also much more. There are even the slightest thing, and you told me the beautiful history about the moving, and just what everything, and I have the impression that everything is covered by your foundation. But where do you think, where do you see the parents need the most help? And after that, we will go to your foundation. What are you do? Everything do and cover, and especially information where people can find you and donate. Also, some kind of help to your foundation.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. One of the things that parents do often need is financial help. So we're a fairly small organization. We do fantastic things. But one of our strengths is that we network with many other foundations who have more let's say, they have more money than what we do. Right now, we get requests to help pay a mortgage payment, to help pay rent, to help pay a car payment. The one that's I guess we get the most is to pay a cell phone bill or utilities. So those are big financial needs, because, like I said, it's often now only one income instead of having two.
Yeah. Because the one full income, either the mother is in hospital, right, and she can't work, or the other income goes fully to cover the medical bills, I can imagine.
Yes, and the medical bills are sadly even, substantial. Even when people are in hospital, the meals are often provided for the child, but for the mother, she has to go down to the cafeteria, and even though it's subsidized, it's still probably $25 a day on for her own meals while she's in the hospital. So the financial burden is really very, very big.
Yeah, I can only imagine. This is a system. I'm from the Europe, so in every country the medical bills are covered in a different way. So I can only imagine how it is. I heard just lots of things about how it is in US, and I know when someone suffers from this kind of disease, that it's very expensive. So the medical bills can really bring some kind of bankruptcy also to the family. And that's one thing, financial. What are the other domain the parents are facing and they need help?
The one that's the most heartbreaking is when they lose their child. The cost of a child's funeral is anything between like $6,000 to $15,000. Now, many parents are young, and you never would plan for needing a funeral for your child.
Yes.
It's absolutely heartbreaking, and unfortunately, sometimes the funeral homes do try to take advantage of the situation and overcharge for services. Debbie, my colleague, and I, we've almost become experts at organizing funerals, which sounds terrible, but if you think about it, you have wedding planners who take care of that.
Yes.
We're almost like funeral planners. Whatever the family needs, we step up, we do. From if the family wants to organize it themselves, if they don't want to have anything to do with the funeral home, we can organize whatever their wishes are. We make sure that we send forget-me-not seeds with pictures of their children on, share a memory cards, prayer cards. We have banners, whatever the family would like to have to help make it a memorial celebration of life. We do that. We then do fundraisers, and we do liaise with other foundations. And I have to say that, thank goodness, up to now, every funeral we have been presented with, we have been able to get covered by ourselves and with the help of other great foundations, because we feel that no family should have the burden of being worried about not having the money to be able to bury the child or have a cremation or celebrate the life of the child in whatever way they want.
Yeah, and I think there is no greater pain in the world than losing your own child.
No,
And
absolutely
it's
not.
very sad to hear that some companies take advantage of it when they overcharge it. And maybe there is a space to collaborate, to win some kind of collaboration with one or two companies that they would donate this to the families who all the charges, and they would just cover it.
Well, Jana,
it would be nice. So
you know me also as a business person, and I am not afraid to negotiate. And believe me, we have some very hard negotiations with some of these funeral directors. And as much as we can, we get them to, sometimes they will donate as much of their services as they possibly can. Sometimes they will give a discount. And the benefit of having the type of foundation I have is that if they do give a discount and they can present like an invoice to us for a service that they've donated, we're able to give them a letter of receipt of a donation that they can possibly use to take as a tax break
for that. Taxes. Yes.
Yes. What I don't understand is, and that's one of the things that hopefully I can work on a little bit more, is the families that do have to pay or pay something towards the funerals, why the family themselves cannot use it as a tax deduction on their own personal taxes. So we did have some meetings with two senators a few weeks ago, Senator Marco Rubio from Florida and Senator Jack Reed from Rhode Island. And that was one of the things that I asked them to consider. And so they wanted more information, and we're going to be looking if we can take that further. So that will be very beneficial for some of the families.
It's quite a dark topic, but I'm very happy to bring it up, because that's something that no one is talking about or even consider, right? It's everybody is talking about the medical bills and psychological help and finances everywhere, but nobody is talking, or I never heard about it, this burden with the funeral, and this is very important also to know and to point out. So thank you for that.
I mean, one of the things that I told Senator Reed and Senator Rubio's office, it's almost an insult that the family gets a grant of $250. Can you imagine $250 as a grant towards a child's burial, when a casket alone is over $1,200.
Wow. Yeah.
So if we can a larger grant to help the families, that would also help.
There are lots of things that need to be changed in our society, right?
Yes. One of the things that I would love to make happen is, if you think about when we come into the world, right, a lot of the hospitals now, they have these beautiful birthing centers and birthing rooms. But for children, when they're going to depart this world, there's no like a hospice room or a beautiful bedroom in a hospital situation. They get to pass with the machines going, the pumps going, the noise, the bright lights, the sterile feeling of a hospital room. And when I win the lottery or I meet somebody who shares this passion and this vision that I do, I would like to make sure that in every children's hospital, there's at least 2 or 3 what, I don't know how we would call them, heavenly rooms, or at least something that feels much more like a child's personal bedroom. There's like a living room, a couch where the family can come. And when that child passes, it's not such a cold, sterile environment.
Yes, that's a beautiful idea. Wow, we bring so, or you bring so beautiful ideas on this call. So I don't know if somebody of hospital is watching, but here you go. There is an idea, and I know a place where you can how do you call it? I just have a blackout. Where you can just see how it is done, and this is here in Switzerland. We have an establishment. It calls Exit, where people go through assisted suicide, especially people with the terminal disease. And there is just a villa home with homey made rooms where the people just can pass, and they feel like at home because it's cozy and it's comfortable and it's like at their home. And I can imagine it's something you imagine would be in each hospital, right?
Yes, because they do have the hospice facilities in England, in the UK too, and they have separate hospice facilities for children. And it makes such a beautiful difference for the whole family because the sibling is able to as well.
Yes, it makes difference. It's completely another energy, right?
Yes.
And I think the mourning process is also makes it a slightly easier for them to be in this atmosphere, in this surroundings, right? Rather than in cold bed. And I know what I'm talking about because I myself had a cancer and been for a month in the hospital. So previously, like 2 years ago, I returned to a clinic, psychiatric clinic, and it was that cold, even psychiatric clinic, it was this cold bed. And I got this panic attack automatically because it proposed me back into this time. So I know how it feels. It just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't to be in that room. And yeah, it's a beautiful, amazing idea. And the time is running so fast. And I have so much more topic I would like to talk about. And I would like, in the time we have left, to talk about parents again, but the other impact they are facing, and this is the relationship, the marriage. And I can only imagine how much this whole situation impact the marriage.
Yes, very sadly, it's a very high statistic. It's over 60% of the marriages who go through having a child with cancer or any other life-limiting disease, terminal disease that children have, 65% of marriages do not survive. The stress, the financial burden is huge. And the fact that the family is often not together maybe the father is with the children in one state and the mother is with the child in another state, hours away. So there's these long periods of time where they're not together, and very, very stressful. One of the biggest stresses is, of course, the financial side. And I think also many parents, we're brought up with the feeling that it's our job, it's our duty to protect our children. And suddenly your child is facing this awful disease, this awful circumstance, and you feel you're no longer valued, you're not doing your job properly. There's huge amounts of guilt.
And I think also some kind of some kind of helplessness, right? They are feeling just they can't do nothing about the situation. They can't make it better, right?
Yes. Yes. So that's a very difficult situation is for relationships. I think that if the relationship has already been very, very strong before the childhood cancer arises, they're good. But if there's been any type of difficulties or situations within the relationship or the marriage, it just makes it very difficult. And even after a child has passed, there's still a lot of difficulties within relationships, because maybe one person says, oh, you should be over it by now. You know, you've been grieving long enough. It's time to move on. You've got to get back into life. And very often the mother is still struggling. You know, mothers struggle for several years after they've lost their child to even find where they are. You know, they have this enormous loss. They have this enormous pain. There's a sense of total emptiness within themselves. And it's not so easy to say, oh, after 2 weeks, I'm going back to work again.
Yes. And every person develop at his or her own pace, right? So nobody can expect that both in the marriage will be at the same time over it or at the same stage of grief. We know that the grief have 5 stages. So what do you think that could help these marriages? With some kind of counseling or a part therapy or something? Is there something that might help these marriages to overcome? And I don't mean only during the process, but also, as you said, just often it happens or it breaks down after, when either the child pass away, unfortunately, or even when the child heals and cures. That it can happen after that as well, right? Because again, that changes the personality of each member of the family, and they just can grow apart, even if there is a happy ending.
Yes, I mean, even when the child survives, often they maybe can't go back to school again. There's so many still doctor appointments, physical therapy, occupational therapy, auditory therapy. So often the one parent still really can't go back to work because she's taking care of the child to all these other appointments, and the child is probably not able to go back to school. So, and there's also the stress and the worry of looking for symptoms. Is my child going to relapse again?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? It's a long process, even after leukemia, which is probably one of the most curable forms of childhood cancer right now. Even once the child is in remission, there's still a whole program for another 2 years afterwards of maintenance to make sure that the child stays in remission.
Mm-hmm. Right. So would you say that some kind of therapy or counseling would help these marriages go through this time to save their marriage?
I think it absolutely would. One of the problems is, of course, is it requires money to be able to pay
again, right?
And that's very low on their list of priorities of what they pay for. So if there would be some counseling and family counseling and between the parents or that, the partners, how to have better communication, how to be able to talk to each other without it sounding as though you are arguing or finding fault with someone else. I think
Right.
it's huge.
Yeah. So any other coaches who would like to offer their services, maybe for free, some family coaches, family therapists, communication coaches, you are very most welcome to reach out to Christina and her foundation. So we have touched so many topics today, and so little time we had today, and this is an exception for in this show I'm doing. But I really like to promote now your foundation, and I would like you to give you the rest of the time we have left and just share, please, what help. And I already said, the funeral services offer the companies offer your services, coaches, therapists. Just go find Christina when you feel touched by this subject, and when you would like to offer your help. Just go and contact Christina. With the need is always there, I think, and the help is so seek. So Christina, please share with us, where can people find you? Those who would like to help, but also those who would need your help.
Yes, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook under my name, Christina Wascher. You can message us as a foundation through Facebook. And the name of our foundation is All In to Win Foundation. And we're also on Facebook. And there's links there where you can donate or message if you would like to help us in any way, or if you do need help. And we would be so thrilled to communicate with you and share any of your ideas or wishes to help. And Jana, thank you so much for inviting me here today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure and my honor. And we have 2 minutes left. Is there anything you would like to pass on? Say a message just to anybody who is watching, either in the position of parent, or in the position of just normal people, or in the position of coach, therapist, whatever.
I would just say that begin each day with a grateful heart. Really be grateful for all the blessings that you have around you, because there's a different world out there. So always appreciate everything, and hug your children extra tightly tonight, and tell your partner or spouse how much you really appreciate them.
Right. And I wanted, actually, you remind me what I had in mind when you were talking about your trip to the this is a small word, how does it call it, the Disneyland, right? That the children and their parents, they are in this stage, they just don't see the problems as we do. We seem to struggle with everything, right? And we often forget what's essential, the small kind of things, like waking up every day, like open your eyes and have a roof under your head, and being able just to eat or to buy your food. And I'm experiencing like that. I'm back in this type of gratitude, and we often forget that until something like that happens. So don't wait until something like that happens, and right.
Exactly. And if you feel like eating ice cream for breakfast, eat ice cream for breakfast with a big smile on your face.
Yeah, right. You have so much to learn from children in general, but these children especially, I think.
They
Really,
are
how to appreciate the life, right?
They are so brave,
Yes.
so very brave. They absolutely are.
I remember myself that I was, after a month being in a hospital, I was so grateful to even walk out and breathe in normal air and see the trees. So really just go back to essentials and be grateful for every and each of the you have in this life. Thank you very much, Christina. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you.
So this show can be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out http://spanglishword.ca. And for all the news and programming, Spanglish Word, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you very much.